welcome back to our show. Once again, my name is Mrs. Augustina. Help me welcome my friend
glorynezemma. Welcome back to our sweet home, Africa. All right, it's a pleasure to have you as our viewer. Okay, once again, we have a great topic.
Okay.
So our topic today is African accent. Is it good or is it bad? All right, we talk about African accent wherever we are. And then people sometimes don't understand the word accent. So my friend and I will look into it and see if it is bad or good to have an African accent. All right? Okay, so my dear friend, I love how you speak English. You speak with an African accent.
I did not even say anything yet.
Well, I've been on the show with you for a long time.
Okay, you're right about that
Exactly.
one. You're right about that
Exactly.
one. Yes.
So, I mean, to you, African accent, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Oh, wow. It should be a good thing
Thank
because it's part of identity.
Okay.
You know, the last time we spoke about, you know, our
Culture.
culture.
So
So that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So your accent can identify where you come from, even within. So when somebody speaks, you will know. Sometimes, let's say, in Nigeria, in Imo State, or the Northeast, we can see. You say, okay, this person is from Anambra, the way they speak. This person is from Imo, or when you get to Imo, you will know who speak what dialect. That's what we call it in Nigeria.
It's a dialect.
So African accent or any form of accent is a means of identification. It identifies where you come from, but I believe it's a good thing when you return, if you can maintain your accent. That's a badge of honor, and there's identification for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I really, really love how you answer the question. Very good. I know viewers, people will be wondering, why do we have to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It goes back to understanding English, because English is not our language. When we talk about accent, and then I'll tell you why we brought this topic first. We brought it because in the Western world, a lot of Africans, when people go to them and say, you speak, you know, you have an accent, many people get mad and they get very upset when someone says you have an accent. So let's look into the dictionary actually. We didn't bring the dictionary here, but Google on your phone the meaning of accents.
Okay.
Accent means intonation.
Okay.
How you pronounce the word. So it's not something negative at all. So when someone comes to you, depending where you live, if you live in Europe or if you live in Japan or if you live in America, and said, oh, you know what, you speak with an accent. What they're telling you is that your pronunciation is different from theirs. And it doesn't mean that it's negative, because you come from a different place, so you will sound different. So a lot of people actually, in the Western world, people fight even when someone goes to them and say you have an accent. They get upset. And I'm wondering, why would you get an accent when someone tells you that you have an accent? Of course I have an accent. Mine is an African accent. If you're from Europe, you have a European accent. If you're from China, you have a Chinese accent. That's why we brought this topic. And I will go a little bit deeper. Because one thing that I've noticed in Africa, whenever foreigners come to Africa and they're trying to speak our language, when they make a mistake, let me just use my own language a little bit, the Igbo language. If they want to say something, let's say they want to say, how are you? And they go, kedu, kedu. We start laughing, we start clapping. Oh, he's trying to speak our language. But when we come over here and we make a little mistake with any English word, let's say, for example, Elizabeth. The Western people call it Elizabeth. But if I'm from Africa, I call it Elizabeth. And when I call it Elizabeth, people get mad and they say, hey, you know, you have an accent. But look at it. I am from Africa. And we pronounce this Elizabeth.
Potato.
Potato.
Tomato.
Exactly. I mean, here they call it potato. And then in Africa we call it potato. But the good thing about it is this. When you pronounce it the African way, you can spell it right. Because if you want to spell Elizabeth, when you say Elizabeth, you can spell it right. But when you say Elizabeth, you might even miss the A. right, so that's why, my friend, I'll let you talk, because that's why we
No,
said, you know,
that's
people
actually-
I don't know why people get offended. That's my point. When someone tells you you have an African accent, is it an offense? Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, I know it's not an offense, like I said before. We shouldn't be offended when somebody say that. You just know that you are displaying your culture,
Exactly.
because you're not denying who you are. So on that note, we pronounce words. Some people, you know, back home, like I said, some people were colonized by the British, and some by the French-speaking people. So eventually the pronunciation will be different, like even in writing, because when we write favor, behavior, check, so all those things are being spelled differently. And when we come over here, I used to get those things wrong. They check it with a red mark, because I always put U, and over here there is no U. On their own it's OR. So eventually somebody have to have an accent. My friend said it all. Wherever you come from, your accent will identify what continent, what country, wherever you come from. So we shouldn't be offended when somebody say you have an accent. You should be proud of that and say, okay, yes, I have an accent, and the accent you can, if you like, you can just have a little conversation because they started it. You let them know where you come from. You be proud of who you are, and be ready and willing to explain to them any other question they will ask you. Maybe they want to know. They have not traveled around. So remember, Africans travel a whole lot. So some people you meet here, maybe they don't travel like that, and they want to know about your culture. Be ready, be willing to share. Do not act like, oh, they try to discriminate. That's the only first thing that goes on in our mind. No, they're not trying, you teach them. So when you say potato, potato, let them know. The spelling, so long as you get it right. That's your accent. So you shouldn't get offended. And you shouldn't try to hide your own or just suppress who you are in order to use somebody else's intonation to pronounce the word so they can understand it. Like my friend said, if they want to pronounce African names or Nigerian names, some of our names are hard to pronounce. The local name. So when they pronounce it, you correct them. Like I answer anyanwu, they call me anyanwu. Anyanwu, I know it's me. I get up, I say, oh yeah, it's anyanwu's son, S-U-N. So I'm proud of that. I got to let them know that they have a meaning too, even in my own home country. So the anyanwu have a meaning. It's S-U-N. But they call me anyanwu. I have to correct them. I have to let them know how to pronounce it. So do not be offended if you're pronouncing any name wrong. Do not hide about that, because I know some people take anyhow job because you don't want to go for an interview. The other day I called on the phone. Somebody told me, oh, you don't have American accent. I said, yes, because I'm not an American when it comes to that. So you let them know, you don't have American accent. I say, yeah, I have African accent because I was brought up in Africa. So I'm not going to throw it away. Then don't get offended. Don't think it's a racial thing. Sometimes it's not what was said, it's how the person said it. But you got to be a bigger person to correct them. So don't be afraid to go for job interview. Don't be afraid to go to school. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself where other people are, because they're going to make fun of your name. Even the students in the class, they don't want to say anything because you think you have to talk like a particular group of people. Use your accent, be free. That's why diversity is where it is happening right now in the diaspora. We have diversity. We got to embrace each other's culture. We got to embrace each other's language and whatever culture is involved in. So do not be afraid, don't get offended when somebody say, oh, you have an accent. Embrace it, that's who you are. My friend.
Thank you so much, my friend. Because actually, once again, we're bringing this up because a lot of people get limited in terms of what they're supposed to, achieve in life. Especially when they're in the foreign countries, because they believe that people will not understand them. But look at it this way. Wherever you are, in any part of the world, look at the people that live there. They have their own language, and and then sometimes you have other foreigners that live there. Most of the time, you don't understand all of them, but they still get to the top. So, but I mean, I've seen that a lot of Africans sometimes limit themselves because of the way they sound. It's all right. Speak, be who you are, just like my friend said. If people cannot understand you, you explain yourself again to tell them exactly what you're saying. Because, and then in terms of names, there's something that you brought up about names that is very important. It's very unfortunate, I have to let people know. A lot of our people, actually, when they go to the foreign countries, some of them change their names just to make it better for other people to pronounce those names. But what I tell them, look at other people from other cultures. Even if they have like names that are like 20 letters, they keep their names. Why would you change your own so that you will make it easy for people to pronounce it? In so doing, you have lost your identity. All right, I'll give you an example. That's a name that is called Anagnastopoulos. What I tell people, if I as an African can take my time to study how to say Anagnastopoulos, then you will equally take the time to know how to say Akopa Ebulam. My grandfather's name. It's okay. Yes, because I took my time to study the letters to be able to pronounce Anagnastopoulos. So you are obligated, no matter where you come from, to take your own time to give me that sense of belonging by learning my own name. So what we're telling everyone is that do not be ashamed of who you are. Do not be ashamed of your name. Do not be ashamed of your accent. Because you are, if you live in a foreign land, you're a foreigner. So you're not expected to sound like them or to speak like them. Say it. And another thing, that's another area that I'm going to.
Go ahead.
Because most of our politicians and people in the government, when they go to world conferences and everything, most of the people that do not speak English, especially where we come from, most of our presidents, they don't speak English. It's not their primary language. I mean, it's not their primary and it's not their first language, which is fine. But what I've noticed is that when they're sitting at those conferences, when it's their turn to speak, they struggle, to express themselves in a language that is not theirs. And in so doing, they forget some of the things that they're supposed to present at the summit. But look at other people from other countries.
Or they misunderstand look at what other people are telling them.
Look at the Russian president. Look at the Chinese president. Look at, whenever they're speaking, they speak in their language, and then you have translators. Thank you. So, African leaders, if you know that you don't speak English very well, which is fine, you're not supposed to be ashamed because it's not your language.
That's right.
If I can't speak English, I'm not ashamed, even if I have to put a was or is. It's up to you to correct it because it's not my primary language. I have my own language that I speak, and I'm expected to speak that one well. But this is a borrowed language, so you don't expect me to speak it perfectly. So if you're president or even you're in any political position and you have to travel overseas to a meeting, if you cannot present yourself or present your case, what I mean by case is that there's so many things about your country that you want to bring out to the nation. But because it's not your primary language, you're limited. So you might be saying things, but it's not what you mean because you cannot express yourself well. Why don't you speak it in your native language?
Voting on things they don't understand.
Exactly.
Because if you don't understand on anything, don't vote.
Exactly.
And then you got to make sure somebody, I'm not cutting you anymore. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Because that's so important. Because most of them, they go and sign the country away, or because they didn't understand properly what they were talking about. Exactly. You need to go with an interpreter.
Yes, and it's okay because, like I said, look at the other presidents. They go with their interpreters. So you say something in your own language and then you express yourself well, and then you'll be able to say exactly what you want to tell the nation. And then somebody else will interpret it. So you don't have to go there and go just to impress people, but still you do not bring out what you want to say. So that's our point with accent. Don't be ashamed of your accent.
That's right. That's right.
My friend, go ahead. You have
more things? I'm looking at it is it had to be a teachable moment because if once you're trying to tell somebody how to say Akukwebulam, you're teaching the person. You understand? They're learning something new. So that's what we have to be mindful of. Do not rush everybody out and try to create a barrier around yourself because you think somebody don't understand you. And also, as people age, maybe some people were born, they are hard of hearing. When you speak and somebody say, come again, what did you say?
Repeat it.
Then you repeat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a crime. Maybe you're on the side that they don't hear properly, they see your mouth moving, or they didn't see your mouth moving. Make sure that you're not creating a barrier as far as looking for a job or doing any other thing that can enhance you. You think they will not understand you. People will understand you because it's a language. All right? So let's not build a house or a cocoon around ourselves thinking that somebody else will understand us, or change our last name in order to make it easy for my co-workers or for your co-workers to call your name properly. And some of them, like some names you have, you say, call you Miss this, call you Miss A. No, let them learn your name.
Exactly.
Because the word is so huge now. Teach people what you want to be addressed as. Your name is not A, Mr. B, Mr. P. That's not your name. Let the students know what your name is, because those are the next generation too. Let your co-workers know how to pronounce your name. Be proud of who you are. Don't be giving anybody any alphabet to call you, because that's not your name. So be proud of who you are, and that's part of your culture.
Thank you so much, my friend. All right, so our viewers, you know, we love Africa because that's where we're from. So what we're saying is that do not give up your own culture, because every other cultures, they keep theirs, even in diaspora, even wherever you are. You can find out that, like we said, people keep their own culture, so why do we have to lose our own? They keep their own accent, why do we have to lose our own? So please be proud of your African accent. It's fine, it's just the way that you pronounce word. It's not a negative word. So that's our accent, it's not a negative word. It's just an intonation, how you pronounce word. So you could go into the dictionary, like I said, Google it if you don't know, and then you will find out that when someone tells you, my friend, you have an accent, that is not an offensive word. All right, so that's our topic today.
All right.
Yes, we're done. All right, so thank you once again for being our viewer, and I look forward to our other episodes at our Sweet Home Africa, where we address issues in Africa so that we can all make our place a beautiful place and bring out our culture and be proud of who we are. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right, bye. Thank you, our viewers, and thank you, our subscribers. Subscribe. We appreciate each and every one of you, and pass the message on. Please don't be stingy with it. We love you.